Hey out there, this is January 31st, 2018. It's a Wednesday, and it's about almost exactly 11, about a minute past 11 in the morning here in Northern California. I'm at Shasta Dam, Shasta Lake, and of course, you just saw Mount Shasta there at the beginning, and it's a very nice place, but the weather report said it was supposed to be in the 60s today, and it's just not feeling like it. It's feeling like about the mid 50s. Oh, I'm not really much in the mood for pontificating, and but I did want to get right away into some of the current events from this past week, and there wasn't a lot. It would seem like pretty slow news week. Um, but mainly, I wanted to catch up on some of my writing and share that with the world. So I'll just go over some of the stuff from this past week, which of course wasn't much. But what's big in the news, I can say right away, is the memo, this firing of this McCabe character at the FBI, and all the shenanigans Obama was involved in, Clinton was involved in. It got very partisan apparently, and they were spying on Trump. Yeah, it's all come out, and this whole Russian narrative was just invented to distract, to divert, to deflect attention away from these criminals that were involved in this espionage, domestic espionage that was based on party affiliation. And in this case, it was the Democrats that were spying on the Republican Party in hopes of throwing the election for Hillary. And of course, they've been claiming the opposite all along, that somehow the Russians influenced our elections because Trump was involved, and his son was involved, and Kushner was involved, and all this nonsense. And then they got, who's the other guy that was working for him? The one guy they've got under investigation that was doing some business dealings. I can't think of his name right now, but it was obviously a big scheme to try to prevent Trump from, entering the presidency. And they had a plan B in case he didn't, and that was just to throw everything but the kitchen sink at him and see what would stick. And of course, nothing did. But that's a situation we're at in America at this point in history. And I saw the first State of the Union address by a president in my life. That was the first time that I recall ever watching the full State of the Union address by Trump just last night. And I must say, I enjoyed it, and that surprises me. And I found a lot of what he was talking about to be encouraging and comforting. And I do still believe that Trump thinks and believes that he is a servant of God, and serving the people of the United States is the best thing he could do for all of humanity. For all the nations of the world, the best thing that America can do is get our own act together. And Trump knows. He knows what's going on. He's a smart guy, and I think the most importantly is that he's a good guy. And of course, the smartest people in the world are always the best people in the world. And I'm surprised to say that I like Donald Trump. I'm probably as surprised as anybody else that knows me. Here's this multi-billionaire real estate mogul. Most people on its face, they would probably think that a guy like me, with the things I'm always espousing, that I should hate a guy like Trump, or at least hate, the industry he's involved in. But of course, Trump, from what I understand, made most of his money off people with money to burn, which is different from a guy like Robert Kiyosaki, rich dad, who's the investor, real estate investor, that's always telling people, it's really good to become a landlord or speculator or flipper or investor, or somehow be, involved, just to be involved in the housing industry, the real estate, and you're going to make a fortune. And this has really driven up the costs for the regular everyday people. and it has destroyed the country for the most part. In my opinion, it started in California and it's spreading across the country like a cancer. And people got to figure out that that regardless of popularity and public opinion about housing costs, um, that high housing costs are not a good thing. I mean, that's what people, in a nutshell, what they got to understand. And it's the cost, it's a tax, and it's something you can't get away from. I don't care if markets are manipulated when it comes to gold or silver or Bitcoin or any commodity that is a luxury for the most part. Automobiles, electronics, sailboats, airplanes, anything that you don't really need. But when it comes to the things we need, then I'm very vociferous about speaking out against market manipulation, price rigging, and the collusion of special interest groups. And that's the kind of stuff that really sets me off, that people want to play stupid when, that we can no longer afford that in our society. People have to understand that what we're looking for to get out of tyranny is a lowering cost of living, which means a lowering tax on your basic existence, your right to survive. So anyhow, I said I wasn't going to pontificate, and I'm going to try to stick to that, but that's really what I'm talking about here. When I talk about equality, maybe I shouldn't even use that word anymore and substitute it, supplant it with the term freedom. Because in my mind, they're two peas in a pod. Because if you're not financially free, okay, you're not wholly, completely free. And so I am a big proponent of universal, absolute freedom. Okay, I'm not saying we don't have laws. We have law and order because we can't have drunk drivers and on and on and on. We all understand why we have to have some rules, some semblance of order in society. But beyond that, okay, 100% equality means 100% absolute freedom for everybody in society. And a component of absolute freedom is financial freedom. So when I talk about equality, that's what I'm talking about. Equal rights, equal entitlements. Okay, it's all constitutional, all comes down to what God gave us in the first place. That of course you have a right. It's not God that invented money, it was man that invented money. And it wasn't just innocently invented as to facilitate exchange, as we're led to believe popularly. Okay, it was invented in order to steal, okay, to steal from people, to steal their labor, because labor is every nation's single greatest asset. You understand, just like Adam Smith made very clear in his book, The Wealth of Nations. So all this stuff starts making perfect sense. And, it's not hard to understand supply and demand and the why and wherefore, the logic behind your cost of living going down. That's progress. That's what's supposed to happen. That's a desired result, is that your burden, your cost of living, your taxes, all the same, go down as you progress, as we find easier and easier methods to supply not only the things we absolutely need, okay, which are very few, but to also all those things that we want, all the luxury knickknacks, gadgets, and so on and so forth. Okay, all the superfluous kind of things. The unimportant materialistic kind of things, which there's nothing wrong with. I have no problem with materialism. I have no problem with great prosperity. But I have a problem with hoarding. I have a problem with others having vast advantage over others. Okay, I'm not okay with that. And so money does not have to have anything to do with prosperity. And we've got to get that through our heads. We've got to figure out how exactly that's possible. And when we do figure out that's not really that hard to imagine, that state, okay, where a few bucks turns into a few $1 million over time. You see, it happens organically, naturally, automatically. It's not forced. It's when the government, whoever you want to define the government as, when they interfere, when they intervene, when they meddle, They are manipulating markets. They are taking sides. They're saying, we're going to give this side the advantage in this equation, and by default, by necessity, this entire group gets the shaft. Do you understand? That's the way it works. You pay, so the regular, average, everyday person pays. Okay, it's ungodly. The entire system is ungodly. Crony capitalism is ungodly. I cannot say enough to denounce the current economic system. And for the life of me, I don't understand why guys like Alex Jones, with their high platform, and any of his guests or any of his reporters aren't talking about this. They don't want to touch these things. And it's imperative, if we're going to understand what's going on here and we're going to extricate ourselves from these tyrants, from the tyranny, we got to understand how we're being tyrannized. And it's through the cost of living. Okay, that's anti-progress. That's regression. That's what's going on here. It's a scam. It's a way to oppress people, to steal from them. Okay, that's what it comes down to. And we all need to talk about this. We need to talk about progress. We need to talk about supply and demand. We got to talk about which direction we want to go in order to escape the fraud that is rampant in the land, the corruption, the market manipulation, the theft of the wealth of the people of the nation, which is what a nation is, after all. It's just about the people. And the people need to be free. And according to Scripture, indeed God agrees, Jesus agreed, and indeed the captives will be set free someday. That day is coming. Sooner or later, one way or another, that day is coming. We need to prepare ourselves for that day. We need to understand what it means to live in a world entirely without satanic forces. And primarily at the top of that list is this power of the money. Okay, this is just so sick and twisted, the way we're like immature, bratty, snot-nosed little demons, okay, for the most part, when it comes to money. And I sit here, I'm preaching to the choir, believe me. I get it, okay, because I'm just like everybody else. I love money too, okay? Let's not play stupid. God knows your heart, but God knows whether you also hate money. And you don't see that as inconsistent at all. It goes back to what Victor Hugo taught. With great prosperity, you make monsters, okay? And with adversity, you make men. So he's suggesting that struggling and poverty and difficulty in this world, in this paradigm, yes, that's true in this current paradigm. Maybe it is better to be named among the oppressed than the oppressors. But we need to understand, nevertheless, what it's going to entail to extricate ourselves. And we cannot be okay with just extricating our own little selfish selves. We need to care about others. Otherwise, we cannot ever attain true happiness. We will attain a pseudo sense of happiness, but it'll be shallow, vapid, empty. It'll be like a sugar high. And when God holds us accountable someday, which could be today, none of us know when our last breath is, when our last heartbeat is. So just remember that. And you're going to answer to God for what you really believe. And if the chips are down, you're going to say, are you not only willing, but are you really wanting to live in a world entirely without the satanic influence we call money? Do you want to be there? That's the big question. That's what's going to determine whether you become a cultivar, like Jesus in the parable of the weed and the wheat growing together, right? You don't want to pull them too early. He's letting us all grow together. But when you figure out that you really want to be the wheat and not the weed that's going to get pulled, burned up in the fire, okay, thrown into the compost heap, when you want to be something that's cherished, right? I mean, the wheat, you need that for sustenance, for existence, for life. You need the food, the cultivar that you're trying to grow there. So when you say this is what it's going to take, if I have to be not only willing, but I have to be wanting, really wanting, like Jesus said, you must hate your life in this world, but he didn't say you must hate your life. We're supposed to love our lives. We're supposed to be glad. Believers in God and Jesus Christ are supposed to be the happiest, most joy-filled ones, because we don't believe in death. And